Welcome on in. This is Spruce and Studs, your chapter master, and we're going to talk about a subject that, well, probably doesn't need to be talked about, but I kind of want to talk about it. So, there's some interesting flack that this action figure Warhammer 40K has been getting for the past 2 years, and there's still a little bit of vitriol behind it. There's a lot of people who are still naysayers about these action figures. For example, meh, too much for what they are. Stuck too close to Warhammer art, so proportions are trash. Also, can't stand mass production paint. So even so, if I'd buy any, I'd be repainting them, and I do not have time for that. And other people have said the simple, overpriced and unnecessary. And other people have also said, it is absolutely hilarious that people actually buy these. People complain about GW pricing and the cost of building an army and so on, and they go out and get this nonsense. And finally, expensive and useless. I buy models to collect, but paint and especially play with. So again, these are just some examples, and I'll list a little bit more examples of the flack and naysayers with these action figures. But I am here, well, maybe not so much to convince you, the viewer, to actually buy these things, but to basically let you know exactly what people who also love the GW miniatures and action figures really think about what these action figures. So I'm going to bring up 5 points that I'm going to, I guess, argue my point of view with regards to these action figures. But before we start the video, let me interrupt, well, myself with an important announcement. I am proud to announce that I have partnered up with LT Cave to fulfill your plastic crack needs. So if you want a Warhammer 40K action figure, these are definitely the guys to go to. As you can see here, they have the largest and very extensive collection of the upcoming releases that are going to be out here for Warhammer 40K, as well as other JoyToy action figures. They provide excellent customer service and excellent shipping turnaround time. So if you do want to get an action figure, please make sure to click the link that is in the description in the video. I thank you, and let's get back to the video. So the number one thing I'm going to say is that bigger, well, to be honest, is better. Who doesn't want larger versions of the characters that you love the most? For me, Mephiston has always been the action figure that I've always wanted the most. While I do appreciate the 1.5-inch miniature that is right in front of you, but wouldn't you want something that's a little bit bigger, like 4 to 5 inches tall? And that's always what I wanted as a kid. Regardless, when you're looking at them at a distance, you can see them better. To be honest, when I look at my display cabinet of my miniatures versus the action figures that are right next to it, I actually naturally gravitate my eyes to the action figures because guess what? Your eyes naturally gravitate to larger objects. And I'll be honest with you too, when you're standing, let's just say 5 to 10 feet back, you can actually still see the details on the action figures as opposed to the miniatures because, well, the miniatures are just too small to see any of those details. So I'd have to say, once again, bigger is definitely better. My second argument is these action figures are actually really good to display right out of the box. But I'll have to say this kind of likely will only be appropriate for Bandai as well as the JoyToy action figures. And people on this channel know that the McFarlane paint, well, needs a little bit of work. But I will have to argue that these action figures, well, they're for people that have no time to paint because guess what? They have a full-time job. They have a channel to run. They have other hobbies that take their time. They have kids, all that kind of stuff. My next argument goes like this. I know how to paint, as you can tell from my past painting tutorials on my channel. And I'll let you know that, well, I actually don't have time to paint because guess what? I have a gigantic gray pile of shame, and I kind of want to channel all my energy and focus on trying to paint my gray piles of shame. So I don't really want to devote, let's just say, time to paint characters that aren't of my army, which is the Blood Angels. I do like Crow. I do like Voldus. So that's why I got those action figures, because I didn't have time to paint them. Finally, this is perfect for people who don't want to paint or think that they can't paint. And there are some people that are like that. So that's why I decided to get it. My biggest point is that these action figures are modifiable just like the miniatures. So just like the miniatures, you can mix and match the different parts on these Space Marines. So if you want a chainsword, you can swap it out with a power sword. If you want a bolt rifle, you don't have to use a bolt rifle. You can swap in a bolt gun or a bolt pistol in these action figures' hands. And I know that with these miniatures, once you glue things together, well, you can't really take them apart. I know that you're probably going to argue that you can magnetize. Yes, I do actually magnetize. So, like I said, there are a lot of allegories and similarities between the action figures as well as the miniatures. Let's just say that you're not a fan of the base paint job, and I know that goes with a lot of McFarlane action figures, and that actually is very, very accurate to JoyToy figures. Well, guess what? You get to paint those action figures yourself. In fact, McFarlane does offer an artist-proof model where it is completely gray that you can prime and just paint from ground up however the heck you want. So, like I said, these things are very, very modifiable. So let's just say you don't like the blueberries. Well, you get to change them to the chapter of your choice. For example, the Primaris Chaplain is probably the easiest action figure to modify from an Ultramarine to whatever it is. All you have to do is paint your favorite chapter's primary color on the pauldron and then put the symbol on, and there you go. You have a Marine of your chapter of your choosing. My fourth argument is that, well, they are action figures. And what is the benefit of action figures? Well, they are infinitely posable, and that is, I think, way better than just the static poses that you get from the GW miniatures. Don't get me wrong, I love the poses on the GW miniatures. Some of them are really fluid, and they really describe the characters. For example, Baird's Revenge is an awesome GW miniature where you can actually see the action, but it is a static pose. You can't change them up. But with action figures, guess what? You're bored and you can change them up. I know a lot of people in the Warhammer community also like to make dioramas for their minis. Well, guess what? You can also make gigantic dioramas for your action figures. And what the nice thing is, those action figures are customizable to whatever you want. You don't have to be stuck trying to pose two static things together. You can make these action figures fluid. And my final argument is that, well, these action figures are affordable-ish. So your standard JoyToy Marine is around $25 USD, which I'll admit is not exactly that much of a deep dive. And your standard McFarlane Marine, well, is a very affordable $20. So it's, again, not a too deep dive or hit on your wallet. This argument kind of falls apart. I know, I'll have to say this, is that, well, special characters can range from anywhere between $65 to like $70 if you pre-order them from different websites. But I'll have to admit, for the GW miniatures, they are $40. So for about $25 more, you are getting a larger action figure, again, that you can display, is infinitely posable, and you can see them better. So those are my 5 arguments why I think that action figures are really worth the price that you pay for them. So this is Sprues and Studs, and let me know what you think of my arguments. Are they full of crap? Will they hold water? Let me know in the comments section, because I want to hear some of these naysayers and hear what they have to say about what my arguments are. And if you're a naysayer, please leave a comment in the comments section. I'd actually really like to see what your thinking is as to why you don't like the action figures. And if you're going to, please give a descriptive detail as to why you think that way, instead of just saying, "Whoa, this is trash," or "This is stupid." I'd like to hear what the basis of your argument is. And as usual, I will see you all in the next one.